Welcome to Blender add-on development for beginners. In this video, we continue building our armature skinning add-on. In the previous video, we saw how to add a mesh consisting of vertices and edges that follows the armature, but we still need to skin the mesh, deform it by the armature, and add some subdivision. This can all be accomplished by modifiers. And the first modifier we add is the skin modifier. As we saw in an earlier video, modifiers can be added via the modifiers attribute of an object, where we can use the new method to create a new one. In this case, the type we choose is skin, and to make it behave for irregular meshes, we disable the default X symmetry. We also set the branch smoothing to 1 and enable smooth shading, all to make the resulting skin look a bit nicer. Now if we run the code to register our add-on, we can test the skin modifier. We go to the object menu and select our menu entry. We see that the skin on the lower part of the mesh looks fine, but the upper part looks weird. This is because these are disconnected edge nets, and the skin modifier needs to be told where those nets begin. In other words, which of the vertices are so-called roots. Remember that our stick figure function also returns those roots, so let's add some code that makes use of them. Switch to edit mode, make sure we are in vertex select mode, and deselect all vertices. Then, and this is a bit counterintuitive, we switch to object mode again and set the select attribute for all vertices in the heads dictionary. That we need to do this as a technical reason because of the way Blender treats meshes in object and edit mode. But just remember that object mode is the way to go when selecting individual vertices. With those vertices selected, we can switch yet another time to edit mode and then call the skin root mark operator to mark all selected vertices as root, and finally switch back to object mode. Let's check if this works by running the code again to register the new version of our operator. We open the object menu. And like before, we see 2 instances of the manual entry because we didn't remove the previous one. No problem, we select the last one, and then we see the skin modifier is now correctly applied to both parts of the mesh. Back in the code, we add the next modifier, a subsurface modifier, to get some more interesting geometry. We make sure to set the preview and render levels both to 2. Finally, we let the armature deform the mesh. We could do this by adding an armature modifier directly, like we show here, but as discussed before, calculating vertex weight groups for every bone ourselves is hard work, and using bone envelopes does not always give good results. So we scrap this and use the parent set operator instead. We select the armature by calling its select set method. The mesh object was already selected automatically when we added it to the scene. And then we make the armature active too, which works via the active view layer that we get from the context. And via its object attribute, we set the armature as active. We then use that parent set operator with type armature auto to catch 2 birds with 1 stone. The mesh gets parented to the armature, and the mesh gets an armature modifier. And the vertex weights are calculated automatically for each bone too. We finish up by making sure the armature is in front and our mesh object is deselected again. Now let's run the code again for a final test. When we open the object menu, we have 3 entries even, but we know why, of course. We select the last one and that looks good. The skin is smooth and the armature is visible in front of everything. We select the armature and move it around, the mesh moves along, so the parenting worked out well too. Also, when we switch to pose mode and manipulate some bones, the mesh responds as expected. So now we can save our add-on and restart Blender to get rid of all those test menu entries. When we open Blender again, we can now install the add-on. In Preferences, Add-ons, we go to Install from Disk and locate our add-on. We double click to install and verify it's enabled, and then select our armature. Go to the object menu and select skin armature from the list, and voila, we have ourselves a beautiful skin mesh. And when we go to pose mode, we can see it works as designed. So in this module, we saw how we can create a mesh with vertices and edges that matches an armature, copy the world matrix to orient it, and add modifiers to skin and deform the mesh. The last video in this module is a short one and contains some quick tips that go a bit beyond what we have seen so far, but may help you in your journey of mastering add-on development. I hope this gave you some good ideas. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.